I'd like to call this meeting to order, and at this time I'd like to give the opening to Councillor Jake Siemens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Many visitors that arrive in Steinbach and drive down Main Street notice a large flagpole with a huge Canadian flag by our Civic Centre. On the other hand, a lot of our community citizens and people who frequent Steinbach don't notice it anymore, and most of it think that it's always been there, but few people know why. The Canadian flag in front of Steinbach City Hall was initiated by Town Council, led by Mayor Ernie Friesen, with a very specific purpose. And that purpose was that to celebrate Canada's 125th anniversary in 1992. Both Mayor Ernie Friesen and Councillor Wes Reimer insisted that the flag needed to be seen from almost every entrance in Steinbach, and it is high enough to do that, or at least it was at that time. And it was very prominent, and it accomplished that from their perspective. At one point, Mayor Friesen even said it would be nice if it was large enough to be seen from Blumenort Corner. That way it would be part of Steinbach skyline. But there was a second reason for the flag. Mayor Friesen wanted everyone to know that Steinbach believed in a unified Canada. During the 125th anniversary celebrations taking place in Canada, there was as much talk about the anticipated second Quebec referendum to separate from Canada than there was about celebrating the 125th anniversary. Mr. Friesen thought at the time that we need to be proud of our country, that we need to be proud of where we come from and where we're going as a country. Part of that pride was to present a flag, to make sure that it was the largest one available and that it can be seen from far and wide. The flagpole is the largest in southeast Manitoba and one of the largest in any place in Manitoba, I believe. The pole stands 80 feet tall, the flag is 15 feet high and 30 feet wide. A flagpole of 140 feet was considered, but the cost was more than triple of an 80-foot pole. The project had a budget of $10,000. A large drilling rig was hired with a 6-foot auger, and it drilled a hole 36 feet deep. A steel cage was set in the hole and filled with roughly 29 cubic meters of concrete, weighing approximately 72 metric tons. The amount of stress on the pole when the flag is at the top is substantial, considering the 50-kilogram weight of the flag. As with some of the heavy winds that we get, it puts a lot of pressure on the pole. In 1992, the flags cost around $450 each and were replaced 3 times per year. Today, the cost of a flag is $1,300 and is replaced once per year, but it is taken down, and they have a number of them as they get repaired. The Canadian flag has been flown upside down in various sporting events in the U.S. And the day that we were going to raise that flag for the first time, we were determined that it wouldn't be happening. The Steinbeck Legion members were recruited the day before the event. The flag was unpackaged inside the Legion and then folded back up with a clear indication which way was up. And then it was folded to the military standard. On July 29th, 1992, the flag was raised. In attendance was Member of Parliament Jake Epp, MLA Albert Rieger, and City Council with Mayor Ernie Friesen doing the honors at the crank to crank it up. A bugler played O Canada that day. The sky was clear with a little wind that morning. After everyone spoke and the bugler began to play O Canada, a few people began to sing. And as Mayor Friesen cranked the flag slowly to the top, it stayed in a limp position till it was just about at the top. Then, like a well-planned a gust of wind came along and the flag snapped open. And it did make a snapping sound. It made me proud to be Canadian right there. Over the years, when the flag looked worn out, was ripped after high winds, or not flying at all, there was a Mrs. Helena Newstater who lived at Fernwood Place on the 6th floor. And she would alert City Hall and wanted to know why the flag was not up, if it had a problem. The flag was clearly visible from her living window, and it provided wind direction for her each morning, but it also gave the city a second set of eyes on the flag. But the flag has been stolen a number of times over the years and has always been found. The first time it was stolen, it was hung from the top of the front entrance at the SRSS, so pretty obviously where it was. On the weekend of January 21st, 1995, the crank door on the pole was forced open and the cables were cut, doing approximately $1,000 in damages. The flag was recovered a number of weeks later in the New Bothwell area by Mr. Chopinski, a backhoe operator who was cleaning a ditch out for the Arm of Hanover. The town of Steinbach had advertised a $250 reward for information leading to arrest. Since no one was charged for the theft, the mayor of Steinbach, Mr. Wes Reimer, he provided Mr. Chopinski a check for $50 for finding the flag, and of course he got a brand new Town of Steinbach hat as a gesture of appreciation. When the pole was repaired, a new tamper-proof door was installed, and as far as I know, it has not been stolen since. When I thought about this, if you did steal that flag, everyone would know where that flag came from, since it's the largest in southeast Manitoba. What would you do with a 15 by 30, 450 square foot flag? By the way, Council has approved bachelor suites and multifamily housing that were that size. Today, besides a large flag at City Hall, we fly 45 Canadian flags, 1 at the City Hall, 3 at the T.G. Smith Plaza, and 42 along Highway 12 North. Overall, I believe the flag is a good reminder of the sense of pride we have in our country as a community, and I think that the sentiments shared by former Mayor Ernie Friesen still hold true today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Siemens. And being a former downtown resident, I can attest to the size of the flag, because any breezy evening, you could hear the flag rustling in the wind or flapping in the wind in our backyard. And that is one way we always knew how windy it was. We couldn't tell how windy it was because our yard was so sheltered. But if we could hear the flag, we knew, okay, it's too windy to go for a bike ride. Now, you probably would say it's never too windy for a bike ride.
Just more character building.
Okay, Council, we've got the agenda in front of us. Looking for a motion to adopt. Councillor Hebert, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments?
No comments.
Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Council, we have the minutes of November 2nd, 2021, the organizational meeting. Looking for a motion to approve those minutes. Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Hebert. Any comments?
Further.
Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We've got the minutes of November 2nd, 2021. That's the regular council meeting, starting on page 1. We've all had a motion to review. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Penner, second by Councillor Swagstra. Any comments? No. Okay, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, seeing none, we will move directly into the public hearing. This is the variance V 2021-22, referring to number 4 Brighton Lane. It starts on page 3 of our agenda. At this time, we will close the council meeting, open the public hearing. Mr. Worthing, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this application for variance file V-2021-22 for 4 Brighton Lane has been applied for by the owner, it has been applied for by Sinex Manufacturing, Inc., on behalf of the owner, being Forthright Ventures, Inc. Purpose of the variance application is twofold. Firstly, to allow a freestanding sign to have an overall height of 9 feet 3 inches, where the maximum height permitted in the RHD residential high-density zone is 8 feet. And secondly, for a freestanding sign to have an overall square footage of 114 square feet, whereas the maximum permitted in this zoning category is 48 square feet. The owner is requesting to have a larger building name and address sign placed on the subject property due to the scope of the development. Notices as required under the Planning Act have been issued. There is one piece of written correspondence on file that Council has in its agenda package, with respect to the application, with the subject property being approximately 4 acres in size and currently containing 3 existing multifamily structures. It is significant in scope. The owner, in its application and information provided, has also indicated that there is the plan for a further 3 multifamily structures to be built on the site. It does not appear that the proposed accessory sign will have any negative impacts on the surrounding neighborhood, and it is recommended that this variance application be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Warkentine. Is the applicant here today? Does the applicant wish to speak? Okay, take the podium and just state your name and address and then continue.
Okay. Hi, my name is Winter Funk. I'm here from Seine Manufacturing, and I have nothing to add to the application, but I'm here to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Okay. Just for myself, I didn't get your name.
Sorry, my name is Winter Funk.
Winter.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Is there any questions for the applicant? Okay. Then you can take a seat at this time.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here with questions, comments, or objections to this file? Okay. I'll ask one more time. Is there anyone here with questions, comments, or objections to this file? Okay, seeing none, we will proceed. At this time, I will close the public hearing, open the council meeting. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra, or, yeah, Councillor Swagstra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion to approve the application.
And second, Councillor Siemens? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Swagstra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a straightforward application. We do have times where there's a request to vary the size of a sign. In this case here, the request is to have the sign a little over a foot higher than the maximum height, and then also having a larger square footage than the maximum. In this circumstance here, this is a large development. There's several multifamily homes already, properties already there. There's going to be several more built. And clearly the owner of the property wishes to draw attention to this and to advertise this, and that's fully appropriate. And so considering the size of the property, and considering that the sign is presented here certainly appears to be aesthetically pleasing, and also because staff is recommending approval, it makes sense for us to approve the application.
Anything further?
Nothing further.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
No.
Council, I have nothing to summarize except that I would agree with the motion, and also I think the sign makes sense. When you have so many multifamily buildings together, it'll help delivery drivers realize they're at the right place. First-time guests, that kind of stuff. I think it's wise to put signage like this there. Okay, Council, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, Council, we'll move on to number 9, Administration, accounts payable at the back of the book. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Hebert, second by Councillor Hebert. Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, we'll go to 9B, financial statements ending October 31st, 2021. That's also in the back of the book. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Hebert. Any comments?
No comment.
Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. 9C, building permits for October 2021. Looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second by Councillor Penner. Go ahead, Councillor Penner.
Thank you. Another outstanding month for the city of Steinbach. By the looks of things, we are on par with 2013, which has been our biggest year. And it looks like this year might actually exceed that. And I know the number's huge already for November building permits, so it's just going to be a fantastic year. What's interesting here is that about 3/4 of the permits are for residential, which is a significant proportion. So it just shows that Steinbeck's a desirable place to live. There continues to be, big demand for residential, and commercial, again, for the year so far is over $42 million, almost $43 million. So this is just a great year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And something that was interesting to me is just seeing the balance in the building permits. We're seeing a balance of, over the year to date, residential and commercial being very close together at 38 million for residential, 42 million for commercial, as well as even breaking down into the residential of seeing single and multifamily units of 93 single, 2-family units, 100 multifamily units. So there's a balance of growth across the entire city, which is great to see that we're bringing in commercial, that residential is following suit, and they're working in tandem together. So it's a very nice balance to see on these permits.
Thank you. Anything further? Anything closing?
No.
Well, Council, I would agree with both of our Councillor Penners here. I think we're having a great year. And I didn't even look at the balance, but thank you for bringing that up, Councillor Penner. I guess, budgets don't balance themselves, but obviously permits do. So it's looking really, really good for this. But right now, we'll just call for the question. All those in favor? Thank you. That is opposed, or that is carried. Okay, no more dad jokes. It confuses me. 9D, Board of Revisions Resolution. Mr. Workney, would you please introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This information that is presented on pages 17 through 19 of your council agenda package, it represents the minutes and decision of the recently held Board of Revision on October 26th, 2021. As part of the decision process that the board has completed, it is now being presented to council with the resolution proposed on page 19 to adopt the findings of the Board of Revision for 2022 assessment roll.
Thank you, Mr. Workentine. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay. Second by Councillor Hebert. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Every year, people have a chance to appeal their the property value assessed to them, and that goes before an independent Board of Revision, and then the Board of Revision passes on its findings to us, and then we accept it. And so it makes sense for us to accept it as we have in previous years.
Anything further? Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
No.
Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, we got 9E. This is Subdivision 4451-2021-8497. This is referring to 524 Hespeler Street South. Mr. Workentine, could you please introduce this file?
Mr. Mayor, this is an application for subdivision with the applicant being Mr. Ray Workington, with the registered owners being Henry and Eileen Kasdorf, as you mentioned, at 524 Hespeler Street South in Steinbach. Subdivision proposal under this file seeks approval to create 2 lots from an existing parcel of approximately 6.75 acres. The parcel has existing residential and accessory structures on it. The first of 2 lots proposed would be 2 acres and would contain the house and outbuildings, with the residual parcel of about 4.75 acres remaining vacant. The area is not currently serviced with either public sewer or water. The existing residence is serviced by a private well and septic field. Current city land use policies support that Development Reserve 1, which is the land use designation or the zoning designation for this particular area, that these properties remain in large holdings by limiting subdivision of land prior to urban development. and it does not appear that the proposed subdivision is consistent with this policy. Therefore, the recommendation from administration is that this file be denied.
Thank you, Mr. Workatine. Well, council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Siemens,
Motion to deny.
and do we have a seconder for that? Oh, Councillor Penner? Go ahead, Councillor Siemens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is one of those situations where the city has set policy and it comes into play here. This is a DR1, which is development reserve land in our city policy. And it, as such, we need to have incremental development. So if we would allow this to go ahead, it would be leapfrogging current development within the city of Steinbach. There's a couple reasons why I think that it would be prudent to deny this. If we allowed this subdivision to go ahead, the next request could potentially be private wells and sewage or field as a sewage. And we don't allow that within our city borders. We don't make that change at this point. We also have a requirement that there's a minimum of 20 acres when you look at a development. This is also a potential flag lot, which is also a concern because of future roadways. And the other reason is there's no city service of water and sewer to this area. One of the things is as the city develops and keeps expanding out, we need to give opportunity to our developers to develop in a fashion that will benefit the community, and we can provide water and sewer services all the way through. By allowing this, it would also then affect future development in that area, because any development moving into the area would not be able to, or they would have to dismantle what there is potentially, but it causes, would be a conflict. So I think for all those reasons that we should deny it. But I also want to recognize the frustration of the homeowners, or the landowners, I should say in this case, that there are a number of different people, and they've been before council before. They're large rural style properties, and I think they get frustrated because the city does not allow them to subdivide or to develop on their own because they don't have all the services. But part of this is that we need, council needs to be forward-looking and see where the development will be going over the next 20 to 30 years, and it would be prudent in the long term. On the other hand, the landowners, the current landowners, they'll be frustrated because they will also have to wait for development to get to that stage in order to do something with their properties. And it would be a lot of patience their piece, and I know that there is frustration with that. But for all the reasons I mentioned, that we need a minimum of 20 acres, and it is a flag lot, which we don't allow, as well as we need city service in that area, and we don't want to leapfrog that development into that area.
Thank you. Anything further?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have much to add, as Councillor Siemens covered a lot of both sides of the coin on that one. What the reality comes down to is we need to be watching out for the best interest of the city in the long term, and having large lots of 2 acres would hinder future development, because it's very expensive to bring services across a 2-acre frontage to bring to future developments that would be further down. And I definitely do sympathize with the frustration of this, as I do have a family member who does own a DR1 lot in a very similar situation, and it is frustrating in the short term, but we do, as council members, have to look out for the long-term interests of the city.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
No.
From council, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of denying? Opposed? That is carried. Council, we have 9F. This is the accounts receivable transfer to taxes. It's on page 43. Council, this is just more or less a matter of housekeeping. These are just unpaid invoices that will be transferred to taxes. We're just looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Penner.
Move to approve.
Second by Councillor Hebert. Go ahead.
I have nothing to add. This is basically housekeeping.
Okay. Anything further?
Nothing further.
Any further of council? Nothing in closing, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, we've got the 9G, the 2021 Farm Use Payback. That's on page 44. Mr. Wardney, would you like to introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Farm use payback, for all intents and purposes, is treated where it's very similar to a supplementary tax bill. There are special rules that do come into play, but suffice in short to say that it results in a change in use from special farm use assessment, and there is an opportunity that when a property that has a farm use assessment is repurposed or otherwise redesignated, there is an opportunity for Manitoba Assessment to reassess the property for full value, as if it was assessed at regular farmland, and the farm use payback tax calculation is calculated based on that increased assessment. And with the resolution that is drafted, recommendation is that council approve these farm use payback amounts.
Thank you, Mr. Wardney. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra,
I'll make the motion, we approve.
second by Councillor Hebert. Go ahead, Councillor.
No comments.
Okay. Then we'll go right into the question. Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Council, 9H, we have business license on page 45. We're looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Hebert. Any comments?
Always good to approve businesses.
Anything? Okay. Anything further of council? We'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We've got 9I, the Supplemental Tax Adjustments. We're looking for a resolution. Mr. Wardney, would you like to introduce this file, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. These supplementary taxes that are represented on several pages in the agenda package represent the increases in assessment that have occurred in the city since last year. This results from either a change in use in property or physical improvements that have been made to properties, resulting in a higher assessment. And then the additional property taxes are calculated based on those additional assessments. Recommendation is to approve the supplementary taxes and also the tax cancellations as noted as per the resolution on page 63 in your council agenda package.
Okay, question, Mr. Workteen. So we'll make a motion to approve the supplementary taxes, and then we need a second motion to approve the adjustment of the council taxes. Okay, council, we'll take the supplementary taxes first. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Swagstra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion to approve.
Second by Councillor Penner. Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the city manager noted, every year we have supplementary taxes that come in, and that is because of a change of use of the land. For example, new buildings get built, businesses come in, and then they pay taxes for whatever portion of the year that they were there. We do budget for this money. In fact, we budget almost exactly for this amount. When you factor in the supplementary taxes and then subtract the cancellations, which is of course a much smaller number, we end up with about $650,000, which is almost exactly what we had budgeted for. And so it does show that our budgeting process is good, but for anyone, if anyone thinks that there's all this extra money all of a sudden, it's not. This was already accounted for in the budget.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor Penner?
Nothing further.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing? Yes, as Councillor Swagstra alluded to, one of the things I did notice that as I was looking over this, that there was no fund money left over. It was all budgeted for and spoken for. Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, council, we'll go right into the, we need a motion for the cancel taxes. Motion to approve, Councillor Hebert? Approved. Second by Councillor Hebert. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We see, as already said by Councillor Swagstra, some taxes go up and some taxes are cancelled. This is, again, housekeeping. The taxes were cancelled, I think, by $54,000.
Okay, anything further?
No further comment.
Anything further of council? Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, council, we have 9J. This is the business tax adjustment for 2020 and 2021 resolutions. Looks looks like it's small. It's a $60 difference. So we'll go right into that. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Swagstra, second by Councillor Penner. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we should approve.
Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, council, is there any questions of council?
Are there two motions? Or is it just one?
Wait a minute.
B20.
Was there two?
2021.
Yeah.
I'll move the.
Oh, there's for 2021, council, yeah, approve the one for 2021. And seconder? Any comments?
No.
Twice as bad as it looked.
Yeah. Twice as bad. We're down 120 now. Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, no questions of council. We've got number 11, correspondence. This is 11A, the Seine Rat River Roseau Watershed District. Minutes, September 21. This is for 2021. Councillor Hebert, was there anything to add?
The only thing I'd like to add is we had the elections again this morning for Seine Rat Roseau, and I've again been elected as the chair, and Mr. Ed Penner is the vice chair.
No, congratulations.
Thank you.
We got no other business. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Penner, second by Councillor Hebert. Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Next regular council meeting, Tuesday, December 7th, 2020.